Live, and you are now listening to the Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. Shout out to Shasha Mosh. You are now listening to Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. Peace. You are now listening to Gye-Nyame Radio. Peace.
Man, I had enough. So family, we are about to kick it live, but first, before we do all that, I'm trying to get the chat up. It's moving very, very slow today. But anyway, I need to let you know that you are now rocking with the congregation of the mighty, where your hustle builds muscle. And this is Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. Thank you, Shasha Mosh. This is a folktale for grown folks, and this is a Heart of a Simple production, where we strive to blow up your old paradigms. Alright, so we got a lot, whole lot, much lot, as many lots as we possibly could feel to talk about tonight. But before we do any of that, let me go and make the announcements for Gye-Nyame Journey. Family, y'all do know that on the 30th of this month, we have the G&J Mall coming up at the Millennium Community School, 3500 Refugee Road, from 12 to 6 p.m. March 30th. We're still looking for vendors. If you get your spot before the day of, it is $20 for your booth and $30 if you're serving food. If you pay for the day of, it will be $40 for a regular booth, and it will be $50 for food. So family, get those tickets in advance. Get those booths in advance. We're going to try. We working on getting the audience in, and we need to make sure that all of you are out there talking about what's going on with Gye-Nyame Journey. Family, we are trying to develop the heart of the community. That market. We need to get that marketplace up and moving. Also, you will be receiving texts and you will be getting hit up by Brother Hot Tim, because we're going to be raising money for the Malcolm X Festival coming up in May. We only have about 2 months left. I've been grinding and grinding. Well, I ain't been grinding. I've been hustling. And that muscle, start weighing on you. You start getting tired after a while. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing show after show. I'm trying to get stuff together, trying to master this whole organizing piece. And it takes some time. Especially when you ain't got no big money behind you. And we definitely don't have no big money behind us. But we do have a beautiful community that comes out and support everything that we've been doing. And we've been having a good streak for the last 3 years. And we're going to keep it going. All right, so let's go and get to this folktale. And I'm going to read the folktale, but first, I'm going to read the folktale, then we're going to go into some articles that I found today. And I was happy to find them. I told y'all about them this morning. One I really want to break down. The Rich Man and the Tanner. A rich man lived near a tanner. For those who don't know, it's a leather tanner. And I don't know about nowadays, but back in the days, a leather tanner, that was a dirty, nasty, smelly job. And not being able to bear the unpleasant smell of the tan yard, he pressed his neighbor to go away. The tanner put off his departure from time to time, saying that he would leave soon. But as he still continued to stay, as time went on, the rich man became accustomed to the smell, and feeling no manner of inconvenience, made no further complaints. Now we got to pay attention to that, because that, we're going to hit on that one, man. I'm so surprised that Anime didn't scream on that one, or got it now, Anime, huh? You think about all day, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm glad Anime got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm impressed that she got it. I'm very proud of the fact that she got that one, but that is a very, very good folktale for us. Very good folktale for us. From both angles. From the rich man's angle, from the tanner's angle. A very excellent folktale for us. Y'all can hear it's real life here, Gye-Nyame Journey. Shasha is right over here trying to learn how to read or whatever she's trying to do. Kicking her foot up at me and stuff. So, let's get into some of these articles and then we'll get back to the folktales. I'm sorry I can't see none. If anybody out there, I can't see you. Restreamio is acting a foolio. Alright, so here we go. What's the problem with reparations? Now I know I told y'all I was gonna give you the article from Vox, and we still gonna jump into that one a little bit. But I want to make sure that you get this one. I know y'all be like, "But like, damn, this is a show about folktales." Yeah, it's a show about folktales, but we gonna bring some real life into it. All right, now I want you to pay attention to the arguments that's being thrown out here, because these are some of the curveballs and some of the tricks that are going to be thrown on you when you start having discussion about reparations, family. Right? So I need to make sure that those that are aligned with Gye-Nyame, those that are Gye-Nyame, are able to have the conversation. Skeetles, when they flying around you, because they going to come at you. Some bullshit. I inoculate you so that you will not fall for the bullshit and you will not feel guilty and you will not feel bad for demanding what is from the intellectual takeout. We about to see how intellectual the takeout is. Where my tablet at so I don't have to read around my cords. And I'm going to pull up Restreamio on here too so I can see y'all tweets, because for some reason this thing is just tripping on me. Moving real slow. Let's see. Because I know some of the family out there might want to hit us up and let us know. Now, lines are open, 614-556-4535. You can hit the folktales, or you can hit what we're talking about right now first, because I really want to see if y'all out in here, and I want to make sure that if y'all are out here, I want to make sure that I'm able to converse with you and answer some of your questions. Because everybody ain't built to call in. But Restreamio is moving very slow and I don't understand what's going on. And it's cool. I don't have to understand, right? So here we go. What's the problem with reparations? That's the title of this article. And once again, this article is coming from the Intellectual Takeout, a refuge for rational discourse. Because everywhere else there's unrational discourse. So you got to come to Intellectual Takeout to get some rational discourse. What's the problem with reparations? as the issue of reparations for victims of slavery, of how such a reparation effort will be administered. Now, point one, go to Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell have laid out a framework. And there's other framework. I'm quite sure in Cobra got a framework. So there's all types of frameworks. See, what this is code words for the white folks haven't decided how they want to pay you niggas. That's what the code words are saying. You need to be clear about that. Right? Now, how we should pay you. So we're going to act like we don't. You know when you come up to the dude and you like, where my money at? Oh, what money? Or you ask them something and people play stupid. This is intellect war. When y'all declare war, we're not asking for this with this unspecific plan, and he throws it to his people, and they come up with some computers. God damn it, you can figure it out. Restreamio is acting crazy as hell. I don't know what's going on. All right, those that are descendants of American slavery, American descendants of slavery. American descendants of slaves. If you could trace your family back to the plantations, you will be the one. Now, I want to be very specific about this, right? Now, well, maybe not as specific as some people, right? But we have to understand that the legacy of slavery affects us up until the day. But they answer, how would guilt and victimhood be determined? Morals here. An activist to grandstand on related issues such as poverty and race. Your chat is up. Let's see. Nothing up. Ain't that something? That's horrible. That is horrible. All right. Let me get back to my article here. While avoiding the central topic at hand, support or opposition, then be more than a matter of affirming one's political loyalties. I can dig that. The actual issue of reparations and how they will be paid out is mostly ignored. See if anybody in the chat. I'm sorry I can't see any comments right now. The chat is acting stupid. Reparation crime. In fact, the idea is essentially pro-private property because it attempts to repay a victim for property to obtain payment for the time and labor stolen from him by the kidnapper, as Walter Block writes. Now, I want y'all to play because they're about to do a crazy switch on you. So I want you hold on, put on your seatbelt. So I want you to make this ride with me. What in the hell is going on with this chat? I paid my bill. I swear. I paid my bill. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Justified reparations are nothing more and nothing less than the forced return of stolen property, even after a significant amount of time has passed. For example, if my grandfather stole a ring from your grandfather and then bequeathed it to me through the intimidation of my father, then I am presently the illegitimate owner of that piece of jewelry. To take the I am presently the illegitimate owner of that piece of jewelry, to take the position that reparations are always and forever unjustified, is to give and inherited the ring from his own parent and then giving it to you. It is thus not a violation of property rights, but a logical implication of them to force me to give over this ill-gotten gain to you. Get ready for the turn. Get ready, family, because here it comes. But here's the rub. Hold on. I'm about to fuck this. Listen, hold on. I need to get my mouth wet because I'm about to start spitting. I'm glad the chat ain't on. But the line's open, 614-556-4535. But here's the rub. In order to do this with an eye towards justice, one must identify specific victims and specific perpetrators. Which we can. Because the argument is based on the fact that you can't, because the argument that's about to hit us, I want you to understand this, is that we can't identify specific victims and specific perpetrators. You know why? Because the veil of blackness. Now, I love being black. I love the whole concept. But in this battle, family, it is important that we on the ADOS moniker. Why? Because it identifies us as a specific group with a specific claim. Now, this article is based on the fact that the author did not look into the current call for reparation and the unique piece that Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell has applied to it. ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. They have specifically identified a group that has been persecuted and who has been robbed. But of course, they're not covering that here. So let me go back. Potentially, as Block suggests, one could envision a legal case in which the heirs of victims will be paid reparation by the heirs of the perpetrators. Fair. Okay. But again, we still encounter a problem of identifying specific persons and heirs involved. Reparations cannot be paid in the abstract, since, as Chris Carlton has noted, and I'm going to hand Chris Carlton his ass, or the author of this article his ass. Listen, family. Libertarian ethics are not based on abstract moral claims. They're based on concretely identifiable property rights. When a violation of a person's property rights takes place, restitution is the logical means of compensating the victim. But in the real world, on matters of slavery, such a claim is incredibly difficult to prove. And failure to prove a legitimate property claim means that the currently recognized property title holds. Anything else would be committing a new injustice to give the illusion of correcting an old one. So now, what we are hearing is that this dude is saying that when it comes to slavery, especially ADOS slavery, right, that in order for justice to be given to us, injustice has to be given to a whole nother group, because they can't specifically identify. Now listen, because I want you. This is where you're gonna crack people's head when they come at you, and they might not even feel you on this, right? Because you can't identify. You can't identify a specific victim and a specific perpetrator. Think about that. You can't identify a specific victim and a specific perpetrator. Family, you got to get ready for these, because it's coming. It's going to come from your politician. It's going to come from your white friends. It's going to come from your black friends. And you need to be ready to hand them their ass. And if you need be, if they're at your house, hand them their coat and help them to the goddamn door after you bust their ass. Because you got to be ready for this, family. This is the new struggle. This is the new battle. Until people start picking up guns, it's coming like this. So they're going to come at you with, I'm going to fuck you in the mind, because you can't identify a specific victim. Hold on. ADOS. Specific victims. So this takes out the Haitians. This take out the Jamaicans. This take out everybody from Africa. And we're looking for individuals that have a bloodline that could be traced back to the slave plantations. Specific victims. And according to the numbers, that's about 35 million of us. Maybe 38. Specific victims. Right? Now what does this mean? These are individuals who, through generational trauma being passed down from that day to this day, are still affected by what happened on those plantations. And not only are we talking about, as Martin Luther King would say, and not only that, we're affected by when y'all fucked up Reconstruction, and not only that, We're talking about those that was affected directly by Jim Crow. And not only that, we're talking about those who were affected by redlining, which happens to all be in the same bloodline, family. And not only that, mass incarceration. Don't be fucking with me, right? But what about? Because you're about to get some other shit. Because I'm getting you ready. Because the battle is coming, and I want y'all to be ready. I want y'all to be able to go to battle with me, family. Because this is a long, as my grandma used to sing, a tedious journey, right? So I need warriors to walk with me. Walk with me, warriors. Walk with me. Walk with me, warriors. Walk with me. Cause I'm on this long, tedious journey, right? See that some of that old shit come in handy. Listen, family, because the way they're gonna come at you, they're gonna be throwing out these type of arguments, and I want you to be able to have a discussion. So let's get back to it. I'm trying to check my thing, cause we got a lot to go through real quick, and I don't want to hold y'all up all night. Alright, in a lot of this, we can see that many of the currently proposed methods of paying out reparations are imprecise. Go to ADOS101.com. Very simple. Not only on that site do they have the studies by the leading economists in this field. Not no motherfucking hack. Writing an article on the internet. Not no motherfucker like me. We got people who've been studying this shit for years. Right? Doing the numbers. Right? And the numbers are available if you stop being lazy. And stop letting people hit you with these lazy arguments, family. Because, listen, now I'm gonna tie the folktale in real soon. So stick with me, right? Walk with me, as they say, right? Walk with me, right? Let me get through this. In light of this, we can see that many of the currently proposed methods of paying out reparations are imprecise, vague, and consequently unjust. Unjust to who? So, for them to pay reparations to us is unjust. I want y'all to hear what's being said for you, right? Not the Japanese. Not the Jews, which I don't even understand how America is paying reparations to the Jews. I don't understand it. Maybe somebody could text me and let me know that that's not happening. Not to the Native Americans, but to you. The blood sacrifice. You got to understand, family. Listen, I used to get mad when I was at church when I was a little kid, because I could never understand the story of the vineyard with Jesus. Where Jesus was telling the story about the vineyard where you had a worker that was working there all day. And then a worker came later in the day. And then at the end of the day, when pay was meted out, everybody got the same. And the worker that was condemned because he complained was the one that worked all day. I work with you. I tell you with you all day, Lord. How is it that we get the same reward? And that shit, nobody could ever make that shit make sense to me. Maybe somebody out there, you can't make that shit make sense to me. This is what the fuck they telling you. Listen, I know your people been here since before 1776. But you deserve the same shit as everybody that been here since 1965, 1985, 1885. You know what I'm saying? Y'all been working hard all day. You done brought me more grapes than everybody else. But I'm going to be fair and give everybody the same shit. That shit never made sense to me. That shit always irked me. I'm supposed to be here and be quiet. See, because it's the shit they want you to be as a black person in America. Long suffering. We done with that shit. You got to be. You got to be done with the whole long-suffering mind state. That shit, you know what I'm saying? Unless you long-suffering for some shit that you know what I'm saying, that's going to pay you off big in the end. And heaven ain't one of the payments in reparation. These motherfuckers can't promise you heaven. So stop letting them have these moral arguments and shit, because morality is about you being right with God, or however you believe that shit. Being right with society and however you believe in that shit. These motherfuckers can't, no. They're not the judge of that. All right, hold on. Let's get through this. I'm sorry. In light of this, we can see that many of the currently proposed methods of paying out reparations are imprecise, vague, and consequently unjust. A program, for example, that forces all taxpayers, whether guilty or not, of any relevant crimes to pay reparations to a specific group of people raises several key problems that must be addressed. Let's address these goddamn problems. Let's help the writer of this article address these problems, right? So first off, we have the victim. ADOS, specific group. Boom, we eliminate the first part of your question. Second part, who the fuck owe reparation? The United States of America. Why? Because the government, we are saying that the government helped implement and enforce the slavery, the destruction of Reconstruction. Everything that was reconstructed, they destroyed it and gave it back to the South. The enforcement of Jim Crow, as well as the prison, as well as mass incarceration and redlining. So we are calling on the United States government, specific perpetrator. Now let's address his issues, and then we're gonna move on. What if a taxpayer is descended from a people who didn't even arrive in the country until after emancipation? This is, should a Japanese American whose immigrant ancestors arrived in the United States in 1910 be forced to pay reparations? How about descendants of Mexicans who arrived in the U.S. in 1925? Yes, very simply. America has a debt. American citizens have a debt. Because if you're going to ask that question in that way, let's ask it this way. Should they be able to take advantage of affirmative action? Should they be able to take advantage of the fact that possibly the Voting Rights Act that was passed in 1965 or some shit like that? If they could take part in the benefits, they could take part in the problems. That's what happens when you become part of a group. A company just does not get rid of its debts because a new CEO come in. The new CEO has to take on the debts with the job of being part of that company. When you become part of a country, that debt is also you are responsible for a portion of that debt, and you pay that through your goddamn taxes. So what kind of question is that? Don't allow them to get you with that shit. Number two, what if a taxpayer has some ancestors who lived in the U.S. before emancipation and some who arrived here afterwards? Would that person's reparation tax bill be prorated to match the fraction of his ancestors that shared the antebellum guilt? Time out. Once again, going back, are they a citizen of the United States? When the country go to war and the draft is instituted, right? I have elders that was caught up in the draft. They didn't agree with the war. But because the country went to war, the country was able to snatch these young men up and change these men's life. Either they put them in the military or they put them in jail. Because they were Americans. As an American, the American debt to the American people, as well as the American family. I don't see nothing on Hootsuite. Nope. All right. Look like I'm by myself on Hootsuite. Once again, lines are open, 614-556-4535. What in the world is this? Chat. Let's try that. Won't chat. Come on. Give me my chat. Alright. I don't know what's going on. I think Restreamio is down. But hopefully y'all still are able to get the signal. If not, alright, let's go to the next question. What if the taxpayer ancestors were abolitionists who opposed slavery? Back to the original answer. Yes, they owe it. See, because it was family. If you're discussing this issue with somebody that don't understand the ramifications of slavery, not only to our people, but the benefits that it brought to the country, then you don't even need to have a discussion with it, because actually they honestly think, because motherfuckers are honestly out here still caught up on the fact that slavery was a moral issue. Slavery wasn't a moral issue. Slavery was business. Let's keep that real. You know what I'm saying? Above the moral issue, slavery was business. And the amount of wealth that was built up as fast as it was built up because America was able to take advantage of our ancestors. Now, if you're discussing that with somebody that don't understand, they think that America had some type of magic genie, and they did. They was called black folk. Rub the lamp, boom, we made all the magic happen, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? Cotton and tobacco before that pushed America to where it is today. Cotton allowed America to build up the financial wherewithal where they was able to move into the Industrial Revolution. Y'all don't understand that? What if a taxpayer has no ancestors who own slaves? Are they American? Are they able to take advantage of all the benefits of being an American, which are built and were received because of the sacrifice of my ancestors? Come on now. We can't allow people. See, we can't allow people to hit us with the argument that it's not fair that all these other people pay for this when their ancestors. Are you benefiting from America? So if they don't want to pay for reparations, they can't get any medical care. They can't get none of the free shit, none of the benefits of being American. We got to be clear about that. You don't want none of the bad shit. You can't get none of the good shit, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't be you can't be a blood without having some beef with Crips. I mean, come on now, what the fuck? These motherfuckers want to be in the gang, but don't want none of the beef. You just want to get all the benefits of being in the gang. You don't want the downsides. America has downsides. Have benefits as well. So we got to be clear on that. So when we're talking to people, so you saying that motherfuckers just need to come to America and be able to get the benefits. Nah, dog. America has a debt. America, those debts need to be paid. Right? When it comes to taxes, motherfuckers is like, well, what if I ain't heard nobody yet say, what if my ancestors wasn't here when the expressways was built? Why I got to pay for that? I mean, according to this motherfucker, that's a reasonable argument. Come on, man. We can't allow nobody to get away with stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? Just, you got a degree or you can put a couple of words together. That's some bullshit. I ain't on that, man. You can't allow them to get away with that. We only gonna make it through one article tonight. And I'm gonna tie this back in. To the folktale. All right, I know y'all like, how you gonna do that? Real easy. Y'all hear it's real live here, Gye-Nyame Jenny. Bad economics of collective guilt. I gotta get a drink on this one. Hold on. About to hand somebody their ass. Because this is getting ridiculous. I keep on coming back. And, we got these bullshit arguments. And we can't allow it to stand no more, family. Listen, and I know a lot of y'all see, because it's like this. A lot of y'all is like, and I don't want you to pin all your hopes on 2020. I want you to do the work, but I don't want. See, this is a tedious, long journey, because even if something come about in 2020, we're gonna have to work to make sure it happens, and we're gonna have to push the midterms in 2022 and 20, and then we're gonna have to be on the ball in 2024. And we got to understand, see, because when you understand that you're not fighting, see, and maybe this might help some of y'all understand that this that I'm talking about is not for us. Do you not understand that if you look at the numbers, it is frightening. It is frightening what is there for our children, man. It's frightening. You know what I'm saying? I done been through Ronald Reagan, George Bush. I'm a man that was born in 1968, so I done made it through at least 4 cataclysms in which the world was supposed to end. All of those that's in my age grade, you already know. At least 4. And a lot of them culminated on 2000. The world's supposed to end in 2000. I made it through all that shit. I made it through mass incarceration. I made it through crack. The AIDS epidemic. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been to jail. I done made it. According to the statistics, I'm a fucking anomaly, right? I'm an outlier, right? And when I really sat down and started listening to Yvette Cornell, then listening to Antonio Moore, and I'm like, damn, they negative. God damn, God damn, she mad. I thought me and my elders, she mad as fuck. And then I really started looking at the numbers, and I started looking at them for myself. I said, this is fucked up. This means that my children will not be able to live the life that I'm living. And I'm not living the life that my mom lived. And my mom is not living the life that my grandparents lived. And now what that tells me is when I'm able to look at my life and see that, and I'm able to look at other people around me lives that's doing the exact same thing. It's like each generation is boom. Ever since the baby boomers, right? Because my mom and them is the baby boomers. Their parents was able to give them stuff, and they had stuff. And then as they start getting older, you started noticing that their lifestyle, even though they might have been making more money, wasn't as like them grandparents, right? Then you look at that, and then you look at your life, and your life is down here when in fact your life should be up here. You know what I'm saying? And then you looking at your children, because I like to say several sets of children. So I got young children, I got babies that y'all see running around, but I got adult children whose lifestyle is not where mine is right now. So I'm seeing a constant descent. And I can't sit around and be like, oh, that's just the way shit is. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. That's what we have accepted. Let me get over here. The bad economics of collective guilt. In all these cases, it's hard to see how the person paying reparation is in any way actually responsible for the kidnapping, theft, assault, and other crimes perpetrated against the actual slaves. The United States is a corporation. It is the being, and the blood of that being, and the blood and the soul of that being is the people. And this country is what, 300 years old, 200 some odd years old. And the people are responsible for what the country did. The country made bad choices, so now it's time for the country to pay. So you keep on going to this whole argument where The people should have to pay for that because the people that's alive now didn't have shit to do with that. That does not matter. America is still a country. The America that existed in 1776 that was signed in and ratified and all that shit with those motherfuckers back there is the same America that we are in today. That's the same corporation. Now, that we are the people within that corporation or whatever they want, whatever you want to call inside that country, with inside that context, with inside that entity. We are responsible for what that entity did. So, thereby, you're right, the individuals are not responsible for it, but the entity in which they belong to is. Stop letting them get to this independent argument, because you always gonna go in circles. That is part of the Hydra. That's the Hydra strategy, nigga. I'm gonna keep you fighting the Hydra. Fuck that. Nah, what we have to be able to do, you got to be able to be like Hercules, cut that shit off and burn it. Cut it off, burn it, right? So that you could get to killing the Hydra, right? Not going through and jumping through all these hoops. I want you to talk about my grandparents who had actually nothing to do with slavery, or my great grandparents, they was poor just like you, blah, blah, blah. But you are part of a country that benefited and was able to elevate because of slavery. And a lot of the benefits that you have are a result of slavery, are a result of Jim Crow, and my ancestors not being able to compete, are a result of redlining, where my ancestors became, as they call it, a contagion to wealth. You know what I'm saying? It's sanctioned by the government, a lower class, a caste, a lower caste, sanctioned by the government. And anybody that's sitting in your face and say that was just and that was right, or you don't even need to deal with them no more. Let me go on to this. In all these cases, it's hard to see how a person paying reparation is in any way actually responsible for the kidnapping, theft, assault, and other crimes perpetrated against actual slaves. Yes, many activists may claim that everyone is, in the vanguard abstract, guilty of slavery, because one's ancestors once brought cheap cotton dungarees in 1858. Might have been working at the very factory that made the goddamn dungarees. Might have been at the company, that made the chains. Might have been at the company that insured the ships. Hell. Or once even unwillingly worked for a company that sold timber to shipbuilders who built slave ships. These arguments rely on the same twisted logic which would have us believe that people who buy gasoline are somehow morally responsible for the brutality of the Saudi Arabian dictators, or that a teenager who smokes a joint is responsible for terrorism like that perpetrated on 9/11. Yes, the U.S. government created an ad campaign saying exactly this. So the U.S. government even believe that shit. If they created the ad campaign for that, then they shouldn't mind me coming after their ass. Because they believe that shit. I believe it too. And my shit ain't even abstract. This everyone is guilty claim, in fact, is one invented by the slave drivers themselves. So, Brother Hatim, you're relying on slave drivers and slave owners' logic themselves in an attempt to claim that all white Americans, including Northerners, somehow directly benefited from slavery, and thus all abolitionists were hypocrites. It was always a desperate and unconvincing argument, but by putting these claims forward, the slave drivers of old helped pave the way for the modern reparation advocates. Now, if it was such an unconvincing argument, why did it take them so long to get rid of slavery? Come on, think about that. You know what I'm saying? What was the Missouri Compromise about? If it was, if the argument didn't work, you know what I'm saying? What was the Civil War about if the argument didn't work? It didn't work back then. So what the fuck was motherfuckers fighting over? But then again, my logic could be flawed. I could be wrong too. Somebody gonna come in and pick that shit apart because I could pick that shit apart. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, listen to how they want you to. You have a point there, and y'all got to stop that shit. You got to make a motherfucker feel uncomfortable, and you got to start asking questions because they don't mind asking you questions. Then they hit you with, because I said so, white man logic. Fuck that shit. That don't work no more. In real life, the people responsible for slavery are only the people who directly owned, sold, or traded in slaves. And the politician who pushed to... See, now, hold on. I want you to listen to this. This is where you get them at. And the politicians who pushed to preserve, spread, or defend slavery through legislation and state police and power. So the United States is going to have to go after all those. That ain't my job. That's your job. You're going to make sure all the motherfuckers pay. Because you pay and you extract it directly from their asses because you had the resources to research all that shit. As a matter of fact, you probably already know where all the bodies lie. They already do. Come on now. Slavery suppressed wages for many workers. So this get into the poor white man thing. Slavery was a bad thing because well, let's go and read it. And I'm going to get up out of here. And I'm going to tie this into the whole folktale. Trust me, I'm tied in. Y'all like, no, you ain't. I'm tied in. I'm a cold motherfucker when it comes to these. Watch this. Get ready. Slavery suppressed wages for many workers. Moreover, many non-slaves can be shown to have been negatively impacted by slavery because it acted to suppress wages. Wait, hold on. Alright. Y'all have messed up for asking for reparation because slavery messed up wages for white people. Does that one move you? Does that argument move you? As historian Carrie Lay Merritt describes in detail in her book Masterless Men, Poor Whites, and Slavery in the Antebellum South, wage earnings, non-slaveholding whites in the South, who constituted the overwhelming majority of the population, received for... Hold on. Excuse me. Go to bed. All right. I'll be up there in a minute. Real life here, Gye-Nyame Journey. Who constituted the overwhelming majority of the population received far lower wages than they would have had they not been forced to compete with slave labor by a legal system designed to favor the tiny minorities of slave owners. Who designed the system? Was it politicians? For states and federal? Perhaps? Nor were these effects limited to southern whites only. The increased profitability of agriculture in the South, thanks to slavery, acted to divert resources from northern agriculture and industry as well. All right, now, for those that have questions about that, there's a book I want you to check out. It's called The Half Have Never Been Told. Right? It's one of them. There's several books out there that tells you how the North benefited from slavery and how it all worked together. North and South worked together to maintain the system of oppression. Then when we get into Jim Crow and segregation and all that stuff, I want you to start looking at that stuff because they're going to come at you with half-baked arguments. Then we could get into the whole people of color and trying to mix our struggle in with other people. That shit don't work, and that shit is not proper because nobody has the argument that ADOS has. Received far lower wages than they would have had not been if they had not been forced to compete with slave labor by a legal system designed to favor the tiny minority of slave owners. nor were these effects limited to Southern whites only. The increased profitability of agriculture in the South, thanks to slavery, acted to divert resources from Northern agriculture and industry as well, thus lowering wages for at least some Northern workers. Moreover, capital that poured into the slave plantations have been used to improve workers' productivity through innovation in machinery and in other capital. Instead, the investment was diverted away from improving free labor and devoted to expansion and maintenance of slave economy. Overall, the presence of slaves suppressed wages nationwide. No doubt. Shit, you don't need to be an economic major to understand that. So once again, we're left with the problem of determining who is legally and morally responsible for paying out the reparations in any way connected to identifying true guilty parties. We already answered that in the first paragraph. I don't fuck around. I already answered this man's questions. In practice, it's nearly impossible. See? In practice, it's almost impossible. These motherfuckers know how much money you made last year, right? They could track all of your phone calls, right? They know what you watching on TV. They could take a Tesla automobile and shoot that shit out into space to Mars, right? They could tell you that they just discovered another 100,000 galaxy in a small corner of the on a picture that they got from a goddamn telescope that they put into space. They got shit flying all around the planets, looking at the Earth and looking out into outer space. They got all this shit, and all of a sudden, when it comes to reparations, they can't figure it out. It's too complicated. Nigga, putting the moon is complicated. You understand what? You said you put somebody on the moon. I'm just saying, because there's some people that don't believe that shit. Right? We got nuclear energy on this motherfucker. You mean to tell me y'all can't figure out reparations? I'm talking to somebody right now in California. Right now, just with this technology that I got right here, right? We got Google. If you don't listen, if the government can't figure this shit out, ask Google. Motherfuckers, come on now, give me a break. I don't understand where all this shit comes. It becomes complicated when it comes to your issue, and it comes to your children's issue, and it comes to your children's life. They can't figure out shit. It's an impossible. It's an impossibility. No, it's not an impossibility. It's a lack of political will. It's a lack of of not only self-determination on political determination. It's a lack of political determination. And that's okay with us, right? That's cool with you, right? Come on, family. We can't allow them to feed us bullshit and be cool with that. They giving us slave rations to think. You know what I'm saying? Slave rations when they want to talk about our issues. They feeding us like they used to feed some of our ancestors. They giving us scraps. And this shit is easy just to break down. I break this shit down. I could do it. And I'm not even into politics. I'm not even into economics. I know they lying. Listen to this shit. The fact that slave owners or plantation owners indisputably benefited from slavery hardly means that white day laborers benefit as well. Yes, chattel slaves fared far worse than any other group. Okay, we acknowledge your pain. But, now, rule of but negates everything that comes before it. So let's try that again. I want you to understand what I mean. Yes, chattel slaves fared far worse than any other group. But, all that shit gone. But, that doesn't mean those day laborers were, to use the modern parlance, privileged. by the existence of the slave economy. In practice, it significantly lowered their income. So once again, we are left with the problem of determining who is legally and morally responsible for paying out these reparations in any way connected to identifying truly guilty parties. In practice, it's nearly impossible, although government, being what it is, advocates for reparations are likely to simply demand that all taxpayers foot the bill to pay one identifiable interest group. Whether or not the taxpayers involved can be shown to have any direct involvement in the perpetuation or the spread of slavery. Now, I also have another suggestion. You can ease up on the taxpayers if that's the big concern. I won't give us a yearly piece of the fund that you what you call it, the international help, like the money you get to Israel and all these other countries. Give us half of that, and give us a few $100 billion a year for about the next 50 years from the military budget. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out ideas since y'all can't figure out. It's impossible for you to figure out without increased taxes. All right, cool. Let's lower the spending on the military infrastructure, right? And let's lower how much money we spend to help other countries. Let's take that money and let's reinvest it in America, because people got to understand that when you invest in the black folks in America, it's an investment in America. How you can't see that? How you can't see that? It's an issue of national security. Y'all motherfuckers are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on eagles and ferrets and shit. Right? Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Last line. Ultimately, the issue shouldn't even be regarded as a complicated one. If reparations are truly that, then they can only based on handing over stolen property from the thief to the victim. So he messed up. From the thief to the victim or the heirs. So long as these specific individuals are not identified, then the policy being discussed has nothing to do with reparations. It's just a wealth redistribution scheme. If that makes you feel comfortable, my friend, by all means, we could call it that too. You motherfuckers, man, I'm trying to tell you. Is my chat up? This ain't no fun, man. I need some comments, some call-ins or something. So, Brother Tim, how you going to tie this into the folktale? Now, I wanted to read the Vox article, but I seen that article because I wanted my people to see how they going to come at you, right? So, hold on. The folktale for the day is, a rich man lived near a tanner, and not being able to bear the unpleasant smell of the tan yard, he pressed his neighbor to go away. The tanner put off his departure from time to time, saying that he would leave soon, but as he still continued to stay, as time went on, the rich man became accustomed to the smell, and feeling no manner of inconvenience, made no further complaints. Now, real simple. In the streets, they call it stalling you out or spinning you off. Right? It's like the longer somebody don't have something, for a majority of the people, the less they desire it. Or the longer you're around something, the more you get used to it. Right? Family. Now, what they're going to try to do with this whole reparation piece is, one, get so used to it that it no longer bothers them. Right? So we got to keep up the pressure. We got to keep up the pressure. We got to ramp it up until they keep this shit buzzing in their ear. We are the tanner, from the angle I'm coming right now. We are the tanner. We got to keep that shit up. We don't want them to get used to it. You know what I'm saying? But then again, we do want them to become a little bit more comfortable with the idea of them handling their business, because the business is going to be handled, right? But also, coming from the rich man angle, for us, we're going to be hit with arguments like this, with these bad smelling arguments. Now in the case, they're the tanners, and they're going to be hitting us with these bad smelling arguments. And at first we're going to be like, look, go on over there with that shit. You got to move that shit. Pack up. Look, get the fuck out. I bought the neighborhood, man. Well, we're going to leave in a minute. Boom, boom, boom. And you're going to keep on getting small articles like this, and you're going to get commentators coming on, and they're going to find people that are not really educated in it and discussing reparation. They're going to bring them on shows to talk about it, and eventually they're going to feed us enough information where enough of our people who are not tuned into what you're tuned into and some of the other stuff out there are going to be like, maybe you're right. Maybe they're right. They get used to the smell. To where now, that shit is just part of their life. Or reparations, they're going to fade that shit out. Because I want y'all to remember, and I want y'all to go back and look at reparations. This is not the first time it came up. I think what a lot of people missed is that the last time reparations was steaming up and being discussed by our people, it was right before President Obama was elected. Movement was on. It was moving forward. Steam was being built. Then the black president was elected. Steam died. What was that, 2008? Internet was popping off, but it wasn't popping off like it is now. A lot of people didn't even realize, and I was one of those. Didn't even realize the power of it. But family, like I said, look at the folktale for yourself. Tell me what you think. How does it fit into your life right now? You know what I'm saying? Don't allow people, because a lot of times people will spin you off. They'll spin you off and try to get you to get used to their bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You get so used to it that you stay there because you don't know nothing else no more. You adjust yourself to the rotten smell, and that smell is can be used as a symbol, as a metaphor for other things. Right? You become so used. Some of us have become so used to the bullshit that's going on around us that it don't even faze us no more. At one point in time we were shocked, but now it's like, got used to it. That rich man. Or some of us are like that tanner. Where we just gonna take our time moving away and just take a few articles and move them out so that people think that we're moving, when in fact part of our plan is to get them used to what we're doing, used to the smell of what we're doing, so that they no longer notice it. Family, you could be around something so long that you don't even see it no more. You don't even smell it no more. It's not even a factor to you no more. Right? We all got to always be conscious. You know what I'm saying? Always looking for those things. Because sometimes those be the most dangerous things. This is why how can I put it? This is why you call things traps. You set up traps. Because a trap is dangerous because it looks ordinary. You don't see it. You don't see the hints. You miss them. And you fall into it. Right? This is basically what the tanner said for this man. Because the tanner know, look, he going to get used to the smell rules. I'm just going to move a couple of pieces out. He think I'm moving it. In the next couple of months, he won't even be talking about it. All right, family, listen. This brother Tim, hopefully I'll be able to hear from you. Get your comments, because of course the conversation don't just stop here. You know what I'm saying? I had to switch channels too, so that might be part of the problem. I'll shut down my computer, and hopefully we'll be able to. I don't even know if anybody called in. I don't even know if the phone lines are working. So that's how it is. It's real life here at Gye-Nyame Journey. This brother Tim, family. I want to remind you that you are now in the place where your hustle build muscle. Right? I want to welcome you to the congregation of the mighty. This is Gye-Nyame Journey Media. This is a Heart of December production. And of course, we just got done with Folktales for Grown Folks. When we strive to blow up your old paradigm.